Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom, and insights, and we go as guided. And par for the course, lots going on, so let's just jump right into it. We have Saturn entering Aries on Friday, the 13th, Friday the 13th of February, pardon me, not January, February. We have SEDNA stationing direct, and we have both Mercury and Venus entering Pisces, and this is all of the buildup. This is all in kind of anticipation and preparation for the solar eclipse, the new moon solar eclipse, the Chinese New Year on the 17th. All of that is happening on February 17th, and then, of course, coming right after that, on the following Friday, on the 20th of February, is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries at the 0 point, which hasn't happened in 6,000-ish years. So nothing to tell us what that will be like, what will happen, because there was no recorded history the last time it happened. So here we are, 8 billion souls choosing to be here at this moment, at this time. So welcome, everyone. Let's just jump in. So we're going to look at the main energies. And what's so beautiful about the month of February and the year 2026 is that we've got the receptive force and we've got the creative force. So the divine feminine, divine masculine working together towards what? Harmony, peace, this renewal, this clean slate. And so we have that. And then we have great possessing shine, and that is from the inside out, what we are to do. This is about illuminating who we are at our center. Welcome, Alicia. And then we're going to be working with number 5, nourished while waiting, and patience. And so we have this going on, and then we have, here is the astrological chart for Saturn enters Aries. And what was amazing about this is, again, I read the astrology intuitively, and I immediately heard the butterfly effect. And so the butterfly effect is a scientific concept from chaos theory where a small change in the initial conditions of a complex system can lead to a drastically different large-scale outcomes later. Popularized by meteorologist Edward Lorenz, the metaphor illustrates how a tiny event, like a butterfly's wing flap, could theoretically set off a chain of events culminating in a large-scale weather phenomenon such as a tornado. While the concept is often oversimplified in popular culture, it highlights the inherent unpredictability of complex systems and has philosophical implications for understanding cause and effect, suggesting that even minor actions can have profound and lasting impacts. So This Saturn entering Aries, all of this that we're speaking about, that I just told you about, that's astrologically occurring, has this butterfly effect. That butterfly effect, of course, then triggers the ripple effect. And the ripple effect, a situation in which one event produces effects which spread and produce further unintentional effects or influences. A spreading effect or series of consequences caused by a single action or event. This is going to ripple out. These energies, Saturn entering Aries, Neptune is already there, all the major planets changing signs. This upcoming, we're going from the yin wood snake to the yang fire horse for the astrological Chinese New Year. And then, of course, there's a new moon in Aquarius that is also a solar eclipse, followed by the Saturn-Neptune kind of like once in, 6,000 years that Saturn and Neptune join at the 0 point. Saturn and Neptune join every 29, 30 years, but it's the fact that it's happening at the 0 degree of Aries, the literal starting point of the zodiac. That's what matters here. And so we're going to expect this butterfly effect and the ripple effect. So watch how events just cascade, ripple out. Again, one person, a whistleblower, or someone comes forward with something, or there's another discovery of something, and the ripple effect and the butterfly effect of that's something so minute, and yet it will have major ramifications. And this is going to be rippling out. The unseen is saying this is going to be rippling out all year, but really watching February, March, April, as we move into May. What happens in these 90 days? And we've been talking about that. What happens in these 90 days? So keep watching as we move into, let's look at our main theme. And I heard the term, the unseen said, constructive idealism. Roll with the shock waves. And so constructive idealism. And of course, you know me, I look these things up because the unseen is giving them to me, and then we make sense of it all. So constructive idealism in a spiritual context is the philosophical and experiential belief that consciousness is the primary fundamental nature of reality, and that human beings actively participate in shaping this reality through their mental, emotional, and spiritual states. Unlike passive idealism, which may view the world as merely a dream, constructive idealism emphasizes the responsibility to create a more harmonious, ideal world by aligning one's consciousness with higher spiritual truths. Well, this is literally where fantasy meets reality. The unseen gave that to us. So this Saturn and Neptune conjunction is where the fantasy, Neptune, fantasy or idealism, becomes reality. Saturn, it's how they work together to bring about a higher octave of consciousness, a higher spiritual truths. So, constructive realism, it posits that the physical universe is not the primary reality, but rather a manifestation of a deeper divine or cosmic consciousness. It holds that because reality is mental/spiritual in nature, human thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes actively shape experiences and to some extent the world around them. That it is our thoughts become things. That's from Mike Dooley at Tut. This aspect of how our thoughts, our emotions, our energies co-create our reality, and thereby individually and collectively. So when we shift consciousness, when we all say, enough is enough to the old, and we're inviting in and embracing with joy and excitement and inspiration and exuberance the new, that shifts consciousness, shifts reality, and then we experience that higher octave. It's derived from Platonic thought. This perspective suggests that there is an ultimate ideal form of reality, quote, the good, and that human purpose is to bring earthly existence into closer alignment with this, improving the, quote, imperfect world. It rejects the materialist view that only physical matter is real, focusing instead on immaterial, internal, or divine realities. This is about your soul source connection, the soul, the divine, the unseen, God, the all that is, the master weaver, the host. That is what truly controls. And when we connect to that, our world changes. Our physical, literal, 3D lives change. It becomes more of a divine reality. We bring that heaven on earth. In contrast to pure speculation, constructive idealism is applied, often viewed as using positive, high vibration thoughts and spiritual principles, love, truth, unity, to construct a better life and, by extension, a better reality, a better world. It implies that because the individual mind is connected to this universal consciousness, individuals hold a, quote, spark of the divine and have the power to consciously influence their existence. Many forms of this idealism emphasize that since everything arises from the same consciousness, all things are interconnected, promoting a feeling of unity. If thoughts create reality, then one has a moral and spiritual imperative to cultivate positive and constructive rather than destructive thoughts and intentions. In short, constructive idealism is the spiritual practice of acting as a conscious co-creator, using one's mind to manifest higher, more loving, and more orderly realities in a chaotic world. So this is where the rubber meets the road, and it's go time from last week. And this constructive idealism, roll with the shockwaves. I'm going to bring that up next. It's this aspect of recognizing this is where we've always been. This is the truth. This is divine truth. And we get so bogged down in the last 2,000 plus years in the Piscean patriarchal era, where it's I, me, ego, 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 mind, where all of that has drowned out the divine feminine, the matriarchal, the intuitive, the soul, the unseen, God, the all that is, however you ascribe, and that intuitiveness. And when we are guided, when we listen and go as guided, it's a higher octave of existence, and that we have a moral and spiritual imperative to cultivate positive and constructive rather than destructive thoughts and intentions. It's incumbent upon us to do right by us individually, by our soul, and collectively in unity, in harmony and oneness. So now we also have roll with the shockwaves. Rolling with the shockwaves in a spiritual context refers to navigating intense, sudden, or chaotic shifts in life and consciousness without resistance. Things are changing. We are never going to be where we were or who we were. All the major planets are changing signs from earth, water to fire, air. Some of these things have not happened in hundreds of years, thousands of years, all simultaneously occurring. Like it's just the clicking or the chinking of a chain. It's all happening, boom, boom, boom. And there's no going back. We don't want to go back. We want to go forward, but that's the point. And so it's to do this consciously and without resistance. It is the practice of surrendering to the energetic, emotional, or life-altering changes, often related to a spiritual awakening or a Kundalini activation. Kundalini is your life force going up through your chakras and everything. Rather than fighting them, allowing the soul to align with a new, higher frequency. So where we've been, where we're going. Shockwaves often represent the dark night of the soul, or intense energetic shifts like Kundalini that break down old, false identities. Rolling with them means accepting that the old self is dying to make way for a more authentic, aligned version of you. We have said this a lot. It's number 5. They've said this so many times. We're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. So this 8 notes is an octave, this higher octave. And so we have this about letting go so that the soul ascends to a higher octave. And that the ego mind personality is going to be like, worried and stressed and distressed and all this. And yet there's a simple way of just saying, allow me to reclaim my sovereignty, to rise, to allow, let go of the illusions, the falsehoods, the past, what we thought was dependable and stable and so forth is being reconstructed. It's being dismantled and then reconstructed in a whole new octave and vibration. The ego resists change and tries to maintain control, causing emotional pain or confusion. Rolling means moving from a state of resistance to a state of flow, trusting that these chaotic moments are leading to a deeper, more peaceful state of being. It requires being fully present in the face of chaos. When life feels chaotic, grounding oneself in the body and staying in the present moment is the role that keeps you safe and sane. So again, we talked about how much do we take in. And what I do is I just skim the headlines. I read things, I skim it. And I just had this conversation with a dear friend and I said, listen, it's not about, taking in the information to be informed, but it's about how you allow it to affect you. And are you doing something that Etch-a-Sketch clears the slate energetically for you when you've taken all these things in and then shift to something that brings in beauty and harmony and joy and peace so that you don't become consumed by the energy of the deconstruction, of the goo, of the shadow. Bear witness, be informed, but then release it and shift your energy to this higher octave. Instead of letting the waves of life drown you, you learn to surf them. This involves embracing the highs, the bliss and the joy, and the lows, the purging pain and sadness, with the same level of detachment and presence. Essentially, it is a call to stop fighting the inevitable changes in your life and to trust the process of spiritual growth, letting the energy flow naturally. This is all about release and going as guided, going with the flow. Because number one from the unseen, they said sustained reality, a heightened course, path of action and adventure. So we're crossing the threshold. We will never be where we were. And we don't want to be. There's something far more amazing and great before us. And it's simply to be in the flow of that, to allow it to unfold. And so we have this sustained reality, a heightened course, path of action and adventure. And then they said, because we talked about last week where Uranus is aspected all week long. It just stationed direct all month long. And just last week it stationed direct. When it stations, any planet that stations, its vibration is stronger and louder. But then it's going to be continually aspected. Well, Uranus is the higher mind, the God mind, the higher mind, and the expect the unexpected. Things coming out of left field. I mean, just boom, boom, one after the other. And so with that sustained reality, a heightened course, path of action and adventure, they also then said, when Uranus speaks, all listen. A conveyor of truth and wisdom. So Uranus is a conveyor of truth and wisdom. In astrology, Uranus is known as the Great Awakener, representing liberation, sudden change, and the pursuit of higher unconventional truth. It disrupts established, outlived structures to foster evolution, challenging individuals to embrace their authenticity, their soul source connection, their soul, who you are at your center, their authenticity, individuality, and a more authentic, often rebellious reality. Uranus breaks rules to reveal hidden realities, functioning as a catalyst for rather than a maintainer of the status quo. So Uranus it functions as this catalyst to break through what no longer serves, to deconstruct, tear down, so as to make room, make space. We've said empty your vessel, hone and polish your stone. All of these things that allow the new to come through. This is not about maintaining the status quo. That has come and gone. This is radical acceptance, accelerated advance, all of these things. Uranus represents a vaster consciousness and the Akashic field of possibility, moving beyond limited traditional or emotional perspectives. It's about moving beyond the human into the extraordinary, or the ordinary to the extraordinary, or the human to the superhuman. Uranus prompts people to align with their true selves, independent of societal expectations, fostering, quote, a truth that is authentic to their personal evolution. So this isn't about what other people think or what other people want you to do or what, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and what you think you. This is about aligning with your truth, your authenticity, your soul, and surrendering to it. Due to its unique 98-degree axial tilt, where it rotates on its side, Uranus symbolizes viewing life from entirely new, unconventional angles. This is the Hanged Man in the tarot. It's to gain a new perspective. It is to see that so that the fool steps out in these quantum leaps with knowing, with certainty in the uncertainty, with this kind of, yes, I know. There's a saying that was on a marquee, and it said, God has a plan and it will not fail. Now, apply that, the unseen, the all that is, spirit, source has a plan and it will not fail because it is the higher mind. It is the octave that we all connect to, or come from and return to. And lastly, Uranus governs innovation, scientific genius, and technology, blending intellect with intuition to discover new truths about the universe. So this is where innovation and genius, scientific genius and technology, but it's about blending the intellect with the intuition to discover new truths, not only about the universe, but about ourselves. It is the planet of the future and unimagined possibilities, pushing humanity to adapt to constant change. Uranus is the planet that demands we wake up to the reality that everything is in a constant state of flux, change. And so when Uranus speaks, all listen, because Uranus is a conveyor of truth and wisdom. And we've got this higher calling, this higher octave that is coming in, that's a game changer, that is going to change us in ways we have yet to even, they're unimagined, the possibilities. And when that occurs, how do we all deal with it? Where are we on the ascension wheel or the ladder, not a wheel, the ladder? It's that beautiful bullet, conical shaped bullet building in London, which brings me to number 3 from the unseen. They said, I spy. Now, I spy is a game. I, the letter I, spy, but this was E-Y-E, like to see. I spy a new way forward, a new way of being. And then they said, the unseen said, check it. Well, check it is a slang phrase used as an attention-grabbing command to tell someone to look at this, listen, or pay attention to something interesting, new, or noteworthy. It acts as an exclamation to highlight a person, an object, or ideas, often used in conversational, informal contexts. So the unseen is saying to us, I spy a new way forward. I spy a new way of being. Check it. And so, again, consciousness, they're waking us up to the opportunities that are before us and that are literally before us. I mean, these are days, we are 2 days away from Saturn entering Aries. We're then on the 17th, 6 days away, less than a week from all that's going to occur on the 17th of February. And then we're about 9 days away from this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And there's still more to come after that. But this is the threshold. This is the turning point. And this is also, astrologers have been talking about how this Saturn and Neptune at the 0 point degree is where the slate is cleared. So you can literally see this. We're going back to where we began, an octave higher. This paradigm shift, this cleansing of the slate, clearing to begin anew. And that reminds me then of where all of the planets were crossing, were meeting, they were being conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto was saying to them, here's your token, your ticket, this golden ticket. Once you cross over this threshold, this line, you're renewed, but with great power comes great responsibility. We are being given a new chance, a new start. So with that power, with great power comes great responsibility. We're being told, you're cleansed, you're purified. The slate is being cleared and cleaned. You've got the golden ticket. It's morally and spiritually incumbent upon us to act with the highest octave of being, the highest purity in the new. You don't want to drag along goo and shadow and lower vibration thoughts, emotions, energies. Clear the slate. Begin anew. Start over. Because the unseen, I spy a new way forward, a new way of being. Check it. So now let's jump to, and let me just bring in our beautiful mantra is, I release the old to receive the new. This is about change. This is about accelerated advance. And so it's about letting go with grace. I release the old to receive the new. Because again, where you've been and where you're going, two different places, two different octaves, two different possibilities. And thereby you don't want the old. There's nothing wrong with the old you, the old us. It has been purposeful, everything is. However, the point here is that as we approach and embrace and receive the new, well, it's like a newborn baby, right? They're new, they're brand new, here they are. Well, it's the same for us. It doesn't matter your age. It's about this renewal, this rebirth, this starting over at a higher octave. So that is our beautiful mantra, and our key word is beneficence. And beneficence is the quality or state of doing or producing good, active goodness or kindness, charity, generous giving, or the quality of being generous and doing good, the duty to do good and seek benefit, particularly in clinical care, to act in the best interests of patients, promoting their well-being and avoiding harm. Well, this, of course, is do no harm. Love thy neighbor as thyself, thy God above all other. This higher octave of purity and of doing good and kindness, it's pure. Because again, once we love our neighbors as ourselves, we would never harm them. We would only seek goodness for them. We would meet them with kindness, with humility, which inspires and endears. That's the octave of the new. And I understand what it looks like on the world stage as the old is just literally imploding, deconstructing. All of the shadow and the goo and the ick that has been concealed and hidden is being brought to bear. It's being brought out. And yet, we bear witness, we recognize and truth, and then we turn our energies to the new, to the purity of the new, to what we want for ourselves, for our neighbors, our loved ones, our colleagues, our countries, the world. So, and this isn't, they're giving me the whole, like when you see beauty pageants and, what would you like? I want world peace. I want world peace. This isn't, airy-fairy. This is reality. This is a shift, a sustained reality. This is going to be a shift in octave, energy, truth, the truth. When Uranus speaks, all listen, a conveyor of truth and wisdom. It's about the purity of truth, the purity of wisdom, the purity of this octave, and the responsibility we have, 8 billion souls, to get it right this time, to hold that as custodians in esteem with such care that we get it right this time, and that we get it right with ourselves, for ourselves. Doesn't matter where we've been. Every choice is purposeful. That's fine. That's how we got where we are. But once this occurs, it's that recognition of, I can release all of that. I can choose differently. I can choose to be better. I can choose a greater, more abundant, prosperous, pure path. That's innate within me. I have the ability to do that. And thereby it becomes that choice. You choose it. Now let's look at, we're going to go to Pam Youngins at North Point Astrology Journal. And she says, Saturn takes the wheel. We are initiated into a new era as Saturn enters Aries this week on Friday. Technically, Saturn begins a new transit through the 12 signs of the zodiac about every 30 years. So its entry into the first sign is not the headline maker in and of itself. What is, of course, the big news is that as Saturn steps into the sign, crosses that threshold and steps into the sign of the Ram, it immediately begins its alignment with Neptune, leading up to their exact conjunction on February 20th. This Saturn-Neptune rendezvous at the Aries point, that 0 point, has been anticipated for many years and represents a major evolutionary shift for humanity. What Pam Youngins herself has been calling the great unraveling. We're deconstructing, unraveling the past, the institutions, the old way of being, everything that we were becomes undone. It's the past. It's over. As we begin to weave, co-create and weave the new. And then she's also speaking, Pam Youngins is also speaking about the SEDNA effect. So dwarf planet SEDNA, named after the Inuit goddess of the seas, is at full strength now as it comes to a standstill and turns direct this week. While the legend of the Inuit maiden SEDNA begins painfully with self-denial, deception, and betrayal, it ends powerfully as she releases her identification with the victimized past, ultimately leading to a magical transmutation and her alignment with her spiritual destiny. So again, see, this isn't about the choices we've made in the past or who we've been in the past or what's happened. It's about, or the identification with a victimized past. It's ultimately leading to a magical transmutation. You can only transmute energy. You can't kill it, but you can transmute it. And so this is about this magical transmutation and the alignment with our spiritual destiny, our soul. Given current mainstream events, these words from astrologer Sarah Varkas ring loudly in our ears. Quote, Sedna speaks of paternal betrayal and the sacrifice of the feminine principle to protect the patriarchal power base. She shows where we may be emotionally and psychologically frozen by unresolved trauma and pain. Sedna invites us to face up to our personal and collective histories, to acknowledge the pain of the past betrayals and the intense feelings of resentment born of them. For only in fully embracing what may be excruciating emotions can we build a sense of self and soul that honors the truth of who we are. So this beautiful statement by astrologer Sarah Varkas is painting the truth of the picture of where the divine feminine, where we have protected the patriarchal power base. We've all done it. Doesn't matter. Gender is irrelevant. And there's a reckoning. There's a transition. We're ending the patriarchal Piscean era. We're dealing with the goo, the shadow of that element. It's all being deconstructed so that it does not continue. It's like the buck stops here. There's a period. There's an exclamation point. The end. And this new beginning that speaks to the purity and the prosperity and the possibility of what has always been on offer, but we just got off course. We went so far away from ourselves. And this brings us back into alignment with the purity, the matriarchal, the divine feminine, the Aquarian, we the people, that speaks to the harmony and the balance of the yin yang, the masculine feminine. It's the purity of them. And thus, with great power comes great responsibility. Pam Youngins continues, with SEDNA now at a virtual standstill and communicative Gemini, information is revealed that sheds new light on painful episodes in our collective history, especially ones that involve abuses by those in power. We're watching this play out on the world stage, the revelation, the exposing of episodes that are painful in our collective history about the abuses by those in power. The curtain is being pulled back, ripped apart, ripped down. As a result of the truths being revealed, we may be grappling with some intense emotions at this time. SEDNA will be strongly activated again from late April through at least early June of 2026. Uranus joins the dwarf planet in Gemini on April 25th and exactly conjoins SEDNA on May 24th. So we're talking about what happens in February, March, April, into May. Since Uranus is the great liberator and Gemini is the sign of communication, information that comes forward during April and May will likely serve as a powerful catalyst for change. At its highest potential, this alignment will ultimately raise collective consciousness, a sustained reality, a heightened course path of action and adventure. So Pam Youngins is saying, at its highest potential, this alignment will ultimately raise collective consciousness, helping free us from a legacy of trauma and abuse. We're relinquishing the past. There's an exclamation point. It's done. Done. So watching these 90 days, February, March, April, into May, but all of 2026 and the fire horse, and that's action and power, empowerment. But it's also the horse, and the horse receives. It's like the gentle mare. She's receptive. She represents the divine feminine, the unseen, your soul, connected to a higher octave, a higher consciousness that guides her. And yet she has all the force, all the power, all the fire, the kundalini, the fire, the will to connect, listen, go as guided. So now we move to astrologer Chani Nicholas. This is her, the weekly number 102. And she says, ending equals new beginning. This week brings a major ending and a new beginning. Saturn, the planet of boundaries and discipline, ends its 2.5-year stint in Pisces, closing out a cycle of effort that brought us some high highs, but often had us spinning our wheels. Saturn in Pisces was a mixed bag and signified a time when we had to float where possible and ride waves as they came. Saturn in Aries is all action. It wants us to commit to bold goals and bolder strategies. Though Saturn can be a tough teacher in any sign, in Aries, in Aries, harshness can dominate. This is no time for being thin-skinned, nor is it time to lose touch with our humanity. How we reckon with the horrors revealed each and every day will either break us down or build our resolve. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's okay to take in it's important to be informed, to take in the information, but it's what do we do with that? Do we fall down the rabbit hole? Do we allow it to consume us? Do we allow it to break us down? Or do we allow it to build resolve? And that we pivot, we cleanse ourselves. There's like an amuse-bouche or something to cleanse the palate in French. And there's this aspect that this is where anything to do with nature, flowers, scents, candles, baths, whatever it may be, music, meditation, that shifts you to get you so you're informed, but you're also then aligned with the new, in the purity of the new. And that way you're building resolve. Channy Nicholas continues, if we are to rescue this world from the jaws of depravity, we need to be firmly anchored in all that matters to us. Saturn will eventually meet up with Neptune on February 20th at 0 degrees of the fire starter sign. This is a signal from the skies that the structures we've been told are built to last will erode shortly. So, if things prove themselves unfit for the long haul, or when things prove themselves unfit for the long haul, let go and grieve as needed. This is all about truth and wisdom. Uranus speaking, truth and wisdom. This is about recognizing within our own individual lives what needs to be released, what no longer serves, what is not in my highest and best. What do I know to let go of, release? What do I know to do to align myself with these higher octave energies? Because this is a signal from the skies that the structures we've been told are built to last will erode shortly. So when things prove themselves unfit for the long haul, let go and grieve as needed. Rebirth is on its way. February will change everything and remind us that we aren't as entrenched in this reality as some would like us to think, thankfully. They're saying to us sustained reality. The unseen is saying to us sustained reality, constructive idealism, roll with the shockwaves, a heightened course, path of action and adventure. I spy a new way of being, a new way forward. And it's number 4. Number 4 and 5 from the unseen go together. And I started hearing the lyrics to this song by Steve Winwood, Bring Me a Higher Love. They showed me then with 4 and 5, and I'll get there, but the 4 aces. They're reminding us, the unseen is reminding us that we have the 4 aces. That's like, in spiritual terms, that's like you've got it all. And the aces denote new beginnings, but it's the power of those new beginnings. With great power comes great responsibility. So we have this beautiful power. We're not entrenched in the old reality. There's a new one that's before us. And we're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. And then they said, bring me a higher love, which we've had, has been mentioned before in the Weekly Wisdom and Insights shows. But it says, think about it. There must be higher love, down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart. I'll look inside mine. Things look so bad everywhere. In this whole world, what is fair? We walk blind and we try to see, falling behind in what could be. Bring me a higher love. Worlds are turning and we're just hanging on, facing our fear and standing out there alone, a yearning, and it's real to me. There must be someone who's feeling for me. Things look so bad everywhere in this whole world. What is fair? Bring me a higher love. I will wait for it. I'm not too late for it. Until then, I'll sing my song to cheer the night along. Believe, bring me a higher love. So there's this beautiful aspect of the unseen saying to us, see, it's number 4, foundational. Bring me a higher love. The 4 aces. And number 5, we're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. So there's this clear message from the unseen that on our evolutionary ascendance and path and trajectory, there's a new octave. There's a higher octave that we are all entering. And again, to what degree? In our faith, in our belief, in our spirituality, through our religion, wherever we receive it, how do we align with that higher octave? How do we get there? In the most pure, harmonic, balanced, united way. Because it is about unity, wholeness, unity, kindness, goodness. And I'm going to beat this dead horse. With great power comes great responsibility. We have a moral and spiritual obligation to get it right, to live up to that ideal, to align with it, to become one with it, as it becomes one with us. It's coming. We're meeting it. Now let me go to Astrology by Lauren. And Astrology by Lauren is speaking about Saturn versus the inevitability of change. And she has this beautiful image, and it just speaks volumes. The image is called "The Beginning is Near," and by the imaginary foundation. This is the image. And you see this person standing on a ladder, and they're on the side of the gray and the decay and the rubble of the past. And as the person looks out over the top of this wall, I mean, just the guck of it, everything lies before them, the unimagined, the all that is, the cosmos, the possibility. And look how beautiful and pure and colorful and lit up. And we've often talked about how we're going from, either black and white or color to technicolor, to this unrealized, unimaginable possibilities. And yet we stand in the rubble of the past, the decay of it, the goo. But on the other side of that threshold, of that wall, ooh, it's amazing. So Astrology by Lauren is speaking Saturn versus the inevitability of change. She begins with a quote by Christmas Humphreys. "The first fact of existence is the law of change or impermanence. All that exists, from a moor to a mountain, from a thought to an empire, passes through the same cycle of existence, meaning birth, growth, decay, and death. Life alone is continuous, ever seeking self-expression in new forms. Life is a bridge. Therefore, build no house on it. Life is a process of flow, and he who clings to any form, however splendid, will suffer by resisting the flow." So see, we're meant to evolve and change, to advance. And so it's, no matter how splendid, we're not to hold on to the energy. We are meant to flow with it so that we then purify, expand, evolve, and to not fear change. There might be melancholy and so forth. That's okay. Mourn the person, the place, the thing, the past, whatever it may be, and then release it. Make space for what will come that's new. So Astrology by Lauren. Saturn does not like change. Saturn likes its foundations to remain firm. It prefers familiarity and fears having all that he has built up, curated, established, to be in danger of becoming irrelevant, worn down, eroded, and fading like a shoreline receding into the tides. You can try to build structures to defy the inevitable, like that sandstone wall on the beach, built to stem the tide, but which only seems to make the beach erode even more. You can't stop what is inevitable. All compound elements are subject to change and destruction. The one constant in life is change itself. It's a powerful reminder. The one constant in life is change itself. And so it's our willingness to let go of what was to receive what is. Astrology by Lauren. So, as Saturn sits in the very last minutes of the last degree of Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, and is poised to enter Aries on February 13th, you can feel the resistance, the fear, the desperation in some cases, as we fruitlessly try to hold on to what once was. That is until we come to realize the inevitability of change, and that it is imminent. We had that, 3 different versions of the word imminent in just a couple of shows ago. This past week, on February 3rd, 4th, Uranus stationed, ending its retrograde phase, And as it did so, the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Mars, lined up to transit the planet of sudden shifts, surprising realizations, and yes, change. Planets make their presence known as they station. And with the Uranus station in the last degrees of the Earth sign Taurus, you can just feel the tremors beneath our feet. So Uranus can also manifest literally in the physical. Earthquakes, tornadoes, things that shift ground. I mean, we just had this where I believe it was in Italy or Sicily, Sardinia, an entire cliff portion of this village just collapsed. So Northern California, repeated earthquakes and so forth. Uranus stationary. So it is with Uranus station in the last degrees of the Earth sign Taurus, you can just feel the tremors beneath our feet as the foundations of our lives are shifting. Each of these inner planets are chipping away at the foundations, bit by bit. It began with Mercury this past week, shifting our perspectives. We learn new things. Sudden changes of plans ensue when Mercury is square Uranus. Things turn on a dime. We find our minds, along with our awareness, changing. No sooner do we try to regain our footing than Venus comes to transit Uranus, in which alliances seem to shift before our very eyes. Who knew? This will be followed by the Sun-Uranus square, and that last part about the shifting of alliances and who knew, and that is triggering a reminder in the past about the strange bedfellows and the Law and Order episode and everything that we talked about. That people that you would never think would come forward or that might be illicit reveal greater illicitness. And thereby, who knew? Because these alliances are shifting before our very eyes. Astrology by Lauren continues, this will be followed by the Sun-Uranus square, culminating with the solar eclipse on February 17th. This eclipse is likely to be an important inflection point. Restless, explosive, so ripe for change, the weather is just so unpredictable and volatile by the time we reach the Mars-Uranus square on February 27th. Saturn doesn't stand a chance in this weather. Change is inevitable. So even Saturn is having to face the present future, this higher octave, this clean slate. And while it may experience fears or because, I like to know what's what. I like my foundations and but there's a newness that's upon us. And so we collectively face this together with Saturn. Astrology by Lauren. It's not easy to let go of the bow lines and attempt to reach the farther shore. It requires a bit of courage. Welcome, Kiki. It requires gumption and a willingness to take the first step out into the unknown. Of all the planets, Saturn approaches the idea of the new with the utmost hesitation and caution. Saturn takes baby steps and very, very carefully approaches what feels to Saturn like utter chaos. So, as Saturn enters Aries on Friday, February 13th, we are asked to do so carefully, to prepare, and to be strategic, even in the face of extraordinary change. This just simply means to be conscious, to be attuned, in alignment with. There's great change. That doesn't make it bad. It might make it scary, doesn't make it bad. So again, align yourself with the purity, with the knowing that your soul is aligned. Your soul knows what's occurring, what you need to do or not do. It knows. The unseen, God, the all that is, knows. So simply align with that. So, and Kiki is saying, I'm looking for women whistleblowers. Yes, there have been many, and there's going to be more. This is all whistleblowers, period, are going to be coming forth. Alliances are going to shift. The foundations that people thought were there are going to crumble, especially so if they are illicit. If they have been in the shadow, in the goo, if they have been undermining the unity, the wholeness, the goodness of humanity, of the cosmos, there's a reckoning. And if you've been aligned in the goodness of that, there's a catapulting, an uplifting that will deliver you. The whole point, regardless, go with the flow, roll with the shock waves, because there's a constructive idealism. Continuing with Astrology by Lauren. From the perspective of Saturn, the Aries world is a world in which dog eats dog, where we dominate or be dominated. This is why Saturn enters Aries wearing a shield. We all feel a little defensive in Saturn and Aries weather, but we do so while also readying ourselves to meet the competition, to meet the moment. Saturn in Aries is the general, gathering the forces and readying the troops for battle. So, although there is some resistance to the new with Saturn, once he gets engaged in the new expectations, the new world, the new everything, there is no stopping him or us. So see, again, while we come in with our armor, we come in prepared and ready, we have everything we need. Remember, this is both the magician and the fool. They have everything they need to embark on this journey, to co-create, to co-manifest in the new. And like Saturn, it's like anything new. We move to a new job, a new home, a new relationship, or whatever. Once we get the stability, the newness out of the way, there's nothing that stops us. We hit the ground running in that way. Astrology by Lauren. Also know there is no passing the buck here. Saturn in Aries asks each and every one of us to step up to the plate and take responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. It's a quote by Voltaire. For we are being asked to be the architect and the director, the general of our own lives and circumstances. There is no one else to blame. This is all about choices, the choices we make. It always has been, it always will be. But to do this well, we first must know who we are and what we want. Ask yourself, what do I want to stand for? What is my personal statement to the world? Where do I see myself going? And what can I do to further cultivate the image and those goals? Saturn entering Aries puts the focus on the individual and asks each of us to take responsibility for our own destiny. Like a general in the command of an army, Saturn in Aries asks us to focus our will and take charge. There is no turning back once we make the commitment to proceed. And so this is all about crossing the threshold, moving forward, a clean slate. And number 6 from the Unseen is another song. It's by McFadden and Whitehead from 1979. And they said, the Unseen said, "Ain't no stopping us now." And the lyrics are, "Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We've got the groove." And so there's this, and I'll post both of the songs on the Dearjames Facebook page for the show thread. So there ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We've got the groove. We've got what it takes. We've got everything we need. And number 7 from the Unseen is, they said, crossing the threshold into a new era. Hold on. Dream big. Because it's all new. Go back to when you were in the innocence of a child. Everything's possible. Nothing is impossible. Everything lies before us. And in that state of being, magic exists. The unseen is present and exists. We are co-creating consciously. And that energy mirrors the octave of the new, the heaven on earth. It's that to be childlike. It's that, and that's goodness and kindness, and they don't see hate and discrimination and division. Children don't see that. They only see, it's my friend. Oh, look at my friend. They don't care what color you are, what gender you are, where you come from, what you have. They just care that you're nice. Are you fun to be with? Are you fun to play games with? Are you fun to imagine with? That's all they see. So they're seeing the purity of who you are at your center. That's what matters to children. The unseen is saying that's what matters to us, humanity, in this moment in time of transition, of change. And lastly, I want to go to hexagram 5, and this is from divination.com. It's known as nourished while waiting, patience. And they say, a fisherman can cast the line, but still can only wait for the fish to bite. Your catch will come in its own good time. You cannot make it come sooner, neither by working, nor by planning, nor by wishing. Though you may have a need to provide nourishment, it is only through patience that you can become the bridge between the fickle fish and the eventual feast. And this is our quote 1. Strength in a time of trial waits quietly, patiently, resolutely. Weakness grows agitated, abandoning the effort before the fish start biting. Periods of waiting are most fruitful when used for quiet contemplation. This is patience. We're at the threshold. Things are going to be accelerated in a way that is unprecedented. 17th, 20th, the 28th. I mean, as we're moving mid-month February on, it's just picking up massive steam. Proceed cautiously but resolutely with whatever you are doing. The situation calls for consistency and perseverance. This is our quote 2. Waiting is an essential skill. Patience, a powerful force. It's the eagle energy. It's the closest to God, to the unseen, to the spiritual, the all-knowing. So again, waiting is an essential skill, patience a powerful force. This is about threading the needle, walking the narrow path, being in alignment. Time is an ally for those with inner strength, the strength that allows you to be uncompromisingly honest with yourself while sticking to the path you have charted. And this is our quote 3. When you persevere with a positive attitude, time weakens even the hardest obstacles. So this is about perseverance with a positive attitude, knowing that there's a plan. It will not fail. And thereby to be in alignment with it. To rush anything or force results stimulates resistance and causes setbacks. At best, you achieve surface changes that may be reversed just as quickly. Steadfast waiting, holding to your integrity, leads to slow but permanent improvements. In the end, you accomplish something great. Be content to practice patience. And so we have the clearing of the slate, this crossing of the threshold into a new era. Hold on, dream big. There ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We've got the groove. We're going back to where we began, an octave higher. That's about a higher love. It's a higher octave of being. I spy a new way forward, a new way of being. Check it. And when Uranus speaks, it's going to speak all month long. It's going to be speaking throughout these next 90 days and into, kind of throughout 2026. But when Uranus speaks, all listen, a conveyor of truth and wisdom. Because this is about a new sustained reality, a heightened course, path of action and adventure. It's not the old us, it's the new us. It's a constructive idealism. And it's how we roll with the shock waves, how we allow. Because it can be shocking to our system what's going to occur, what's going to happen, the deconstruction. But remember, don't fall into the energies of the deconstruction, of what's falling apart. Let them go. Allow them to leave. Allow them to do what they're going to do. And align your energies. Baths, meditations, walks in nature, flowers, scents, good people, fine wine, whatever it is that lifts you to a higher octave of purity, goodness, kindness, alignment with the new. That's what matters, as all of this, as above, so below, astrological energy is occurring. These events are taking place. And again, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries hasn't happened in 6,000-ish years. And there's no known knowledge of what occurred because it predates recorded history. But what's clear to everyone is this is a crossing over, a whole new way of being. And I just want to get in really quickly. Alicia is saying the big air ski jumping keeps coming to mind when you're talking about the upcoming changes. Yes, because look at how they come down that ramp and they fly out into because they're competing to see who can go the farthest. In this beautiful analogy that Alicia is bringing up, that's exactly it. And what does it take? An alignment, a training of the soul, the spirit, the mind, the oneness, the fortitude to face fear, to step out onto that platform and shoot down that runway and go airborne like the Fool. And they're leaning into it. They're aligned. Skis, everything perfectly aligned to see who goes the farthest. That's what's available to us. Beautiful analogy, Alicia. Thank you. This is what is before us. These are the energies. And we literally, like the big ski jumpers, we take flight. We have, I wanted to bring this in because it is about accelerated advance. It's about blast off. Things are moving fast. It is about Columbia, the divine feminine, her light, the fire horse, the mare, liberty, freedom, justice, equality, unity, elevation. You have your internal compass. It will lead you home. It will lead you to true north. You have the golden ticket. New adventure awaits. Because you've chosen the golden ticket train. It is the train that's departing the past, leaving the past behind to a whole new world, a whole new way of being, an octave higher. And that's all sunshine and sunflowers. Are there things that we have to do? Yes, of course. But the joy is in the alignment of it. And Kiki is saying, you help me hang on through this. Hope and faith. To all, hope and faith. And thank you, Kiki. Thank you, everyone who has been on this journey of weekly wisdom and insights, and how the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony are guiding us all so that we have the awareness, the foreness of this moment to be at the tip, not the tail cone, to surrender, to align, to allow, so that what the greatness that comes is already ours. May we, in the big ski jump analogy, may we go the farthest. So I love you one and all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your energy, your comments, your alignment, your energies, your presence, everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You make this journey so rich. And I'm just excited each week to show up and be with you all and to see where this all goes, the unfoldment of it. So until next week, be kind, be well, be aligned, and be ready. We'll see you next week.